Welcome to the session on numbers and arithmetic operations, multiplication and division. The objectives for this session are learning how to multiply 6-digit numbers by 2- and 3-digit numbers, and divide 6-digit numbers by 2- and 3-digit numbers. We will begin by multiplying a 6-digit number by 10, 100 and 1000. We can place as many zeros on the right of the product as there are in the multiplier. Let's demonstrate how to do this by using an example. Let's multiply 318,233 firstly by 10, then by 100, and then by 1000. So if we multiply 318,233 by 10, we get the same digits except with a 0 at the very end, as shown. Similarly, if we multiply 318,233 by 100, we get again the same digits except with 2 zeros at the very end. And finally, if we multiply 318,233 by 1000, we get the same digits again, except with 3 zeros at the very end. So hopefully you can spot the pattern. We will now look at how to multiply a 6-digit number by a 2-digit number. Let's consider how to multiply 380,941 by 25. Arrange the two numbers as shown. Always put the larger number above the smaller number and ensure that you begin multiplying from the right. Consider 5 first. 5 times 1 is 5. Position the answer in the same column as the 1. 5 times 4 is 20. Position the 0 in the same column as the 4 and carry the 2 over to the next column along. 5 times 9 is 45. Remember to add the 2 to give 47. Position the 7 in the same column as the 9 and carry the 4 over to the next column along. Now continue in the same way until you reach the very end. As shown. We now need to multiply our 6-digit number by the 2. This is actually a 20, so we need to add 0 in the units in the next row down in our calculation, as shown. We can now progress as we did previously. So 2 times 1 equals 2. Position this to the left of the 0 as shown. 2 times 4 is 8. Position this to the left of the previous digit as shown. Now continue in the same way until you reach the very end. We can now add the 2 rows. 5 add 0 is 5. 0 add 2 is 2. 7 add 8 is 15. Position the 5 to the left of the previous digit and carry the 1 over. Now continue in the same way until you reach the very end. As shown. So 380,941 multiplied by 25 gives us 9,523,525. Now let's multiply a 6-digit number by a 3-digit number. Consider the example on the screen. So when multiplying 473,085 by 138, multiply in a manner similar to the previous example for the first two rows as shown. We now need to multiply our 6-digit number by the 1. This is actually 100, so we need to add 2 zeros in the units and tens in the next row down in our calculations, as shown. We can now progress as we did previously. So 1 times 5 is 5. Position this to the left of the 0, as shown. 1 times 8 is 8. Position this to the left of the previous digit, as shown, and now continue in the same way until you reach the very end. We can now add the 3 rows as shown. We're now going to take a look at dividing numbers, and in particular we will divide a 6-digit number by a 2-digit number. Let's look at an example. Divide 278,643 by 25. Set up the division as shown. Begin on the leftmost side of the 6-digit number. Check how many times 25 goes into 2. Clearly, there are no 25s in 2, so we put nothing here. Now check how many times 25 goes into 27. There is 1 25 in 27, so we put 1 here, as shown. Now multiply 25 by 1 to give 25 and put 25 here. Subtract 25 from 27 to give 2. Bring the 8 down and position it here, as shown. How many 25s are there in 28? There is 1. Position the 1 here. Now multiply 25 by 1 to give 25 and put 25 here. Subtract 25 from 28 to give 3. Bring the 6 down and position it here, as shown. How many 25s are in 36? There is one 25 in 36. Position the 1 here. Multiply 25 by 1 to give 25 and put 25 here. Now subtract to give 11. Bring the 4 down and position it here. How many 25s are in 114? There are 4. Position the 4 here. Multiply 25 by 4 to give 100 and position it here. Now subtract 100 from 114 to give 14. Bring the 3 down and position it here, as shown. How many 25s are in 143? There are 5 25s in 143. Position the 5 here. Now multiply 25 by 5 to give 125 and put the 125 here. Now subtract 125 from 143 to give 18. So dividing 278,643 by 25 gives us 11,145, which is the quotient in our example. Remainder 18. We now divide a 6-digit number by a 3-digit number. Let's look at an example. Divide 520,967 by 125. Set up the division as shown and begin again on the leftmost end of the 6-digit number. Check how many times 125 goes into 5. Clearly, there are no 125s in 5, so we put nothing here. Now check how many times 125 goes into 52. Clearly, again, there are no 125s in 52, so we put nothing here. Now check how many times 125 goes into 520. There are 4 125s in 520, so we put 4 here. Now multiply 125 by 4 to give 500, and put 500 here. Now subtract to give 20. Bring the 9 down. How many 125s are in 209? There is 1, and we position that there. Now multiply 125 by 1 to give 125. Now subtract to give 84. Bring the 6 down. How many 125s are in 846? There are 6. Now multiply 6 by 125 to give 750. Subtract. Bring the 7 down. How many 125s are in 967? There are 7. Multiply 7 by 125 to give 875. And subtract to give 92. So dividing 520,967 by 125 gives 4,167, which is the quotient in our example, remainder 92. If you have understood the content of this session, you should be able to multiply a 6-digit number by a 2 and 3-digit number, and divide a 6-digit number by a 2 and 3-digit number. Thank you very much for listening. Now have a go at these exercises. These exercises will allow you to practice multiplying a 6-digit number by a 2-digit number. Pause the slideshow whenever you need to. Solutions will be released one at a time. And now have a go at exercise 2. This allows you to practice multiplying a 6-digit number by a 3-digit number. Pause the slideshow whenever you need to. Solutions will be released one at a time. And now for exercise 3. This allows you to practice dividing a 6-digit number by a 2-digit number. Again, pause the slideshow whenever you need to. Solutions will be released one at a time. And now for the final exercise. This allows you to practice dividing a 6-digit number by a 3-digit number. Again, pause the slideshow whenever you need to. This brings us to the end of this session. Do attempt the exercises in your textbook related to this topic. Thank you very much for listening.